Good morning everyone. Today we're going to be looking at how to customize an inner sphere chassis mech. This is basically this is for people that are very new to the game ideally. So say you've just started playing the game, you've done your 25 starter games, you've got your C build bonus, and now you're looking to actually buy a mech. What I'd first suggest you do is make sure that you've tried the trial mechs that come available here, this window here. I'd recommend trying all the different weight classes ideally to find if there's a weight class that particularly suits you, because you might struggle in the assault mechs because they're quite slow and don't have as much manoeuvrability as some of the smaller lighter mechs. You might find the light mechs to be wonderfully quick and fun to play, but tend to get killed really easy if you happen to make even the slightest of mistakes. A lot of people like the heavy class because it's kind of reasonable manoeuvrability with good firepower. Some people like the medium class because it's better manoeuvrability and in some cases as good a firepower as the heavies. But like I say, I recommend trying the trial mechs and just experimenting, obviously the clan and inner spheres as you can see there, and just find whichever feels the most comfortable for you to play. Once you've found your weight class out of one of the 4 weight classes, then it's time for you to pick your mech in that weight class. For today's exercise I've picked one of these hunchbacks that I've got here. I don't normally play in a sphere anymore now that the clans are out, but as basically this was cheap and I can use it to illustrate my points, I've gone for this little fella. So go to this side menu here on the left and you can basically look at the mechs you own by weight class, which makes finding your new mech a lot easier. In this case it's already highlighted for me because I've already got it selected. It's this little hunchback here that I'm going to modify today. If I hold my cursor over it like that, you'll see a menu has popped up on the right. It tells you basically your hard points for your mech and its basic features like its structure, its heat sinks, etc. In the sphere mechs, pretty much all of this is actually customizable, which isn't the case for the clan mechs, which is kind of funny when you consider that the clan mechs were supposed to be the more customizable, but hey, in the interest of class balance that's not been done. So this particular chassis that we're looking at today, this Hunchback 4SP, can have 5 energy weapons and it can have 2 missile weapons and an anti-missile system. It's currently equipped with 4 medium lasers, a small laser and 2 SRM6s. Now if you look, you'll see a list of what it calls quirk summary. This list is basically advantages that have been given to this particular variant of this particular chassis to make it more competitive, ideally to make it more attractive to us players to use. Looking through these briefly, it's basically had its structure on its left and right torsos increased, its turn rate, its pitch and yaw rates increased, its energy heat generation has been decreased so it generates less heat, the duration of its lasers has been reduced by 1/4, and its missile cooldown has been increased so it cools down its missile firing times quicker, which means you can fire faster. That's really badly put by me. And its medium heat generation has been reduced by 10% as well. So essentially medium lasers are 20% cooler on this particular chassis, and the SRM6 has 20% cooldown as well, so essentially it can fire its SRM6s 40% quicker. Now these are some pretty big buffs, to be fair, which is going to make this mech ideal for medium to short range combat. One of the first things you really want to look at before you actually start faffing around with your mech is, what do you plan to do with it? Yes, that's obviously going to be to destroy the opposition, but by that I mean, what range do you wish to fight at? Are you a short range brawler? Are you a shock troop? You like to get in up close and personal, start blasting away? Do you like to fight medium range where you can skirmish more, you can pop a few shots off and then go and hide somewhere for a bit and pop out again? Or do you prefer to be a long range fire support type person or a sniper? Do you like, you know, the maximum range weapons where you watch the battle going on in front of you and then just pick your targets accordingly? You basically need to set up your mech to suit your playstyle. Now I tend to be, well, my unit tends to be a short range, get in there and start blasting away kind of unit. That tends to be how we run. So this particular chassis with the weapons and its quirks would be pretty much perfect for how we choose to play. Obviously if you prefer a more long range combat style, this particular variant of this particular chassis is probably not going to be for you. You would probably want to have a look at some of the other mechs in the weight class you've chosen and pick something more according to what you like to play. So now I've finished waffling at you for the first 5 minutes. I'm now going to actually show you how to do some stuff with your mech. If you click this button down here, it says mech details, it'll bring up this screen here. This basically shows you what your mech has currently got, and then it gives you, obviously you've then got an idea of how you can change your mech. Currently in the arms, it's got 2 medium lasers in each arm. In the head, it's got a small laser. I can tell you now that's going to be coming off. Standard heat sinks, a standard engine, a little bit of ammunition for the SRMs, and there we are. The SRMs, 1 in each torso, as you can see on the mech actually as well. Now, first thing I'd recommend, realistically, is upgrading the heat sinks and engine and armour. So what we're going to do is we're going to go press the back button, we're going to click configure, which brings up this screen here, and I'm going to click strip mech. What this will do, I'm going to ask it to strip all the equipment. We'll take all the weaponry off the chassis. So if I click mech details again, it's now bare. It's got no engine, nothing. It's literally just stood there, the exoskeleton, with what armour it's got allocated, which we're going to change also in a moment. Head back to this screen. You see this little warning here? If you click on it, it basically tells you that you've got no engine and no weapons, so essentially you can't do nothing. So we go into loadout. Select, well, Senators is already selected, so we now have to pick an engine. Innersphere can customise their engines, the clans can't, which gives Innersphere quite a lot of leeway. Standard engines, like the one you're currently equipped with, mean that it's a bigger, heavier engine than an XL engine. XLs are lighter, but they would also take up space in the left and right torso, which for the inner sphere means if you lose either your left or right torso, you are destroyed. If you stick with your standard engine, the engine is only actually in the centre torso, which means if you lose your left or right torso, you will keep fighting, you will just lose whatever weaponry you had on that particular side of your mech. It's a double-edged blade, really. Basically, do you want to trade heat? Do you want to trade survivability for a bit more tonnage, or do you rather have increased survivability? If you want the increased survivability, stick with a standard engine. If you want a bit more space for more weaponry, armour, etc., go for the XL engine. The choice is entirely yours and will come from your playstyle. If you tend to be more of a long range playstyle, you can probably get away with not worrying so much about having the XL engine and go for the XL engine. If you're a brawler, well then that's when you really have to think about a standard engine, to be fair. This particular chassis is not quite so bad as other Hunchback chassis due to the fact that the weaponry is more spread on it. On most of the Hunchbacks you'll find the weaponry tends to be in the right shoulder, which is what people will tend to target. So if you're running an XL engine with that particular loadout, chances are you're going to die to losing that torso pretty quickly, pretty often. So the choice is entirely yours. Now this one will run at 64 kph if I keep a standard engine in it, which I'll take out. Let's have a look at some of the XLs, because I might stick an XL in this one, just for the comedy. An XL200 isn't actually that expensive. Looking at this, I'm going to see what that would cost. Putting the big XL in it. That gives me 90 kph speed. That's pretty damn quick. Right, it's going to need some heat sinks, but I'm not going to put standard heat sinks on it. I'm going to go to this option here which says upgrades, and we're going to upgrade the, well, we can upgrade 3 things, but looks things we can upgrade the armour, we can upgrade the structure, and we can upgrade the heat sinks. Now I'm going to upgrade the heat sinks because that makes it more heat efficient. The heat sinks are physically bigger, but they're more heat efficient, so you're actually able to fire more, essentially, before you have to worry about shutting down or not firing for a while. The structure I've upgraded also, which gives me a little bit more tonnage to play with. It's a lighter structure. It takes up more slots on the mech, so you've got less spaces available to put equipment, but it makes the mech lighter. And the armour as well, I'm going to upgrade that also. Again, it takes up a bit more slots, but gives you a little bit more tonnage to play with. Heading back here, check the mech again. There we go. You see, now we've got the XL engine equipped. This dynamic armour slots, it's not actually showing the engine as sticking in the sides, which it should do. Oh yes, it has. Here we go. Sorry, it's me being a little bit blind this morning. See how your engine is in your left and right torsos. This means now, of course, if you lose either your left or your right torso, you're going to lose the entire mech, because unlike the clan mechs, you cannot survive losing a side torso. Right, load out. We're now going to up the armour, because as I say, I like to brawl. As such, I like to run with, or should I say, it's advisable to run with maximum armour. Right, no tonnage available. So it looks like this one might already be maxed out, which is... yeah, this one's actually already maxed out, which is a nice change. Normally they come... oh, here we go. Maxed out the armour on my legs. I recommend keeping your leg armour high or maxed out for 2 reasons. 1, certain units will leg check you when they get into a match with you. They will fire at your legs and see what sort of armour levels you've got in your legs. If your legs look to be weak, they will then tell the rest of their unit to focus fire your legs, and you will go down very, very quickly. So you need to keep your leg armour high. Another reason is if you happen to be in combat and fall off something and land, you will damage your legs. If you've not got a lot of leg armour, you run the risk, especially if your legs have already been hit a couple of times, of losing one or both legs. If you lose one leg, you will move very, very slowly. I believe it's 40 kph. Yeah, you don't really want to be doing that in a match, especially if you happen to be out in the open at the time. Things will get very bad for you very quickly. So max out your armour. I fully advocate maxing out your armour. We're now going to look at weaponry. I'm going to start with the arms first. I'm going to put some medium lasers when I figure out where to put them. There they are. I have far too many medium lasers. 39 medium lasers. God. Put the medium lasers back into it. In the head, it's not having its small laser anymore. It's getting a medium. So now I've got 5 medium lasers to fire, which gives me decent firepower. And in the right torso, I'm going to go for the SRM6. You notice I'm basically putting back onto it the loadout that it had originally. Reason for this is basically because of the quirks. I personally do not see the point of putting weapons on a mech that it's not quirked to use, simply because you've got an advantage of those weapons. Yes, you might prefer other weaponry. If that is the case, I recommend going for a different chassis personally. Go for a chassis that's going to basically be quirked for the weapon types that you prefer, simply because you're going to get an added bonus to them, be it range, fire rate, cooldown. It's going to be worth your while piloting a mech that suits your particular playstyle. Stick an extra heat sink in there. Maybe you've got to watch this here. This is your heat management. Ideally, I don't like piloting a mech with less than 1.3 heat. I find anything like 1 or less far too warm, and it can be leading to all sorts of trouble. Right, we've got quite a bit of tonnage left, to be fair. Let's stick some ammo on here. I might put some case on it as well, actually. Case basically means if, well, it doesn't actually matter in this case really because I've got an XL engine, but if you were running something with a standard engine, what it basically means is if you were to lose that particular side, it would basically contain the damage to be that side. It wouldn't transfer any damage to your centre torso. Pretty pointless me having that on here now I think about it, due to the fact that I'm running an XL engine, so if I lose that torso I'm toast anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right, let's have a look, putting some more ammo in here. That realistically should be enough ammunition for this particular mech. Alright, leg. Have I got any slots left or have I used them all? That might be it actually. Which is kind of funny if that's the case, because I've got loads of tonnage spare, which is really bad. Let's see if I can put anything else in it. No, it's not, and let me put anything else in it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, it's how you max out a mech and basically have no slots to put in it. So I'm going to go back to upgrades, and I'm going to try and free up some tonnage. If I go a standard structure, maybe I'll get some tonnage back. Let's have a look. As you can see, I've not played in this Sphere chassis for a while. Yeah, there we go. Right, now let's put some more heat sinks on it. I actually might put an anti-missile system on it as well. Anti-missile systems, I think, can be a double-edged blade, in as much as they're good for stopping the LRM fire that you'll tend to see quite a bit. But they're also bad in as much as they will actually physically give away your position if you're in cover. So basically, the opponent could be firing at one mech, thinking there's only one mech there, say that they were in ECM cover. So they're firing at the mech they've got locked in their radar, and then anti-missile fire comes from a different location. They'll know that there's more than one mech there, so it's a bit hit and miss really as to whether it's a good thing or not. For me, personally, the verdict's still out, but that's me for you. I'm not a big advocate of such systems normally, but for demonstration purposes of the fact you can put one on this particular chassis. Oh, they do have a benefit now I think about it, that you can actually use it to shoot down short range missiles as well when you're in brawling range. So I guess in that respect, yes, they do have a place. Right, where have we got here? See if I can put another heatsink in here. So now that leaves me half a ton spare, which is perfectly acceptable. When you've got your mech like you'd like it, hit the save button. It's going to cost me a small fortune, but it'll be worth it. It's on sweet time. This does tend to take a while, unfortunately. Really, this does take a while. In its own sweet time. Seriously, come on. There are other things you can do with the missile systems. There's a thing called Artemis, which essentially focuses the fire pattern of the missiles. They don't spread as much, so they're more likely to hit a single location. But I've not bothered with this particular mech because essentially it's not one I'm going to be running a lot as such. There's no point in me going to the added expense of it. Next thing we do is we click back, so we get back to this screen, and we're going to change the camo spec. Completely pointless, but yeah, it's fun. Some of the colours can be purchased for the in-game C-bill currency. Most of them unfortunately have to be purchased for MC, which will cost you actual money, so it's entirely up to yourself how you wish to proceed. As you can see, I've already got quite a few colours unlocked, so just to annoy people, I'm doing this in clan colours, like so. Next thing we do is we go to where it says weapon groups and select your weapon groups as you wish. I'm doing this by left clicking and putting all my lasers onto 1 and 3, but 3 when we get into game will be set as chain fire, so it'll fire one laser, then the other, then the other. So that should be one ready to go mech. Now to test it, hit home and go to testing grounds. You can either choose a specific battleground or you can hit random and click OK. Now we get to see the fruits of our labour. See if it works. See if you're comfortable with the weapon loadouts you've put on it. See what sort of heat generation it has. From here, you can then go on to taking it into an actual match. As you can see with the XL engine, this is quite manoeuvrable, quite quick also.
Target acquired.
Yeah, good heat generation. Wish my clan mechs were as cool as this.
Heat level critical. Target destroyed.
Can fire a lot more than my clan mechs can, so it's got good
Heat level critical.
punch to it. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a nice little mech. So this guide has been for people who are very new to the game, as you can probably tell. I hope you found some use out of it.
Target acquired.
And I hope next time to clan mechs for those of you like myself who tend to play them. Should be
Target destroyed.
an interesting little video, all being well. Thank you for watching. I hope it's been of use to you and it's made some sense. And I'll see you on my next video. Thank you very much.